Good morning and welcome to the Up Zone where understanding politics is made simple. We are your two hosts. I am Tisha S. Waddell, former city council member for the 3rd District in the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Mr. Elmer Floyd, our other host, former House
I know.
Representative. I know, I just
It's
did
all
that
right,
just to
T.
see what you were going to do.
It's
Former
all
House
right, T.
Representative for the 43rd District in the state of North Carolina. And we are your two hosts who are here to help again make understanding politics simpler. Mr. Floyd, um, how goes all, sir?
Well, Tisha, we had an increase. The weather changed, and so we had some warmer days, and I can tell that because of the communication that I have been receiving. More people are in the office uh, there, if you understand what I mean. My collectors
Okay.
now are back in the office, so I've
Yeah.
got a lot of communication because of the weather change. Other than that, everything is good.
Well,
But
I'm
but
ready
I
for the
think
weather to change because Mr. Floyd, I am pretty sure that when they told us we were going to get snowed in, my first reaction, because I keep things like water and I keep the staples on hand. And so in my mind, when they said we're going to be snowed in, I went out and did something very uncharacteristic and I bought a bunch of junk. And Mr. Floyd, I'm looking at my face right now, and my face shows the evidence of the
huh?
junk. And I really need for the warm weather to come on so I can, first of all, we finished eating all the crap in our kitchen. So now I need the warm weather to come so I can get back outside and walk this fat face off.
Teach you might want it to stay, sort of mild because I just read this morning where PwC wants a 13.3. I wonder what they want, a 13.45% utility rate increase over
I
the
saw
next two
that.
years.
I did
So
see that. But
so
I also saw where somebody in another town or city in another state was like, I got a $900 light bill. And everybody was telling them, look, it's been under 30 degrees for 2 weeks. If you were running your heat at your standard setting, you're going to have a $900 light bill. So the beauty of being married to the HVAC guy is I recognized when it got really cold, Mr. Floyd, that to try and set my house to my standard temperature was futile because it was just going to be overburdening my system. And so we left it at about, it was chilly at about 68, but it was warm enough for us to not freeze. We could grab some blankets and, get warm, but I didn't try to heat to my standard. But I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Mr. Floyd, let me ask you, what announcements do you have for us today?
what Teach, don't forget now, this is Thursday. If you want to see those persons who are running for office, early voting starts today. It starts today and it runs through the 28th with the election on March the 3rd. Please
Mm-hmm.
bring some ID. Don't go to Spring Lake to cast your vote. The voting sites is Stony Point, Eastern Regional Library, Smith Rec Center, Cliffdale, Honeycutt, and I think there's one more. I think, yeah, Rosehill Rec Center. Those
Mm-hmm.
are your sites. Please don't go to Spring Lake trying to vote. They closed that poll, and the polls are going to be open from 8 until 7:30. You may get a chance to see the person who's running for office. So please vote. And when you see him or her, please remember that's the only closest that you're gonna get to him or her if they win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's announcement one. And the
Okay.
Cumberland County Democrat Party is going to have their convention on March the 21st. Top secret, so you got to sign in and register to find out the location. Okay, now I'm just saying to you, that's what it said. You got to register, and it meet ADA standards.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. William Barber, he came to Fayetteville with a mobilization tool to get out the vote, and he is going to have a march in Raleigh on February the 14th. And they said that they're going to assemble in the Shaw University area.
Okay.
And then if someone is a member of the North Carolina Retiree Association, they're gonna have a meeting March the 4th at the Bill Press Center from 3 to 4 to helping them to better understand, the policies that affect, the retirees here in North Carolina. And teach the Martin Luther King Committee is going to meet February the 16th, and they're going to be an important item that's going to be presented to the committee at that time. Now, please bear in mind, this is the Martin Luther King Committee, not the board of directors, because
What is
some
that
members,
important item that is proposed to be presented at that time?
well, it relates to finance. Right?
Okay.
So they're going to present that to the individual is going to present that to the board. I mean, to the committee, not the board. To the committee. This is the committee meeting. Someone said that the board of directors have at least two less than five members, and the
Mm-hmm.
bylaws say five or more
Mm-hmm.
there. So so that's that is a concern. You know, that's a concern there.
Okay.
So they're going to meet, and that's going to be they normally meet at 5:30, and that would be at the senior citizen building on, I think it's 917 Washington Drive. And
Okay.
Teach, if you remember or want to be affiliated with the with the NAACP, their dues are going to increase in 26 starting March 1. So the dues for a silver member have went from $75 to $100. Gold from 250, from 150, I think it's 250, and those diamonds it still remain at $300. That's per year for 10 years. And the most beautiful thing that's going to happen today is that the city of Fayetteville is going to look at the Murchison Road revitalization plan, and that's going to also be at the senior citizen building uh, today from 5 to 8. But I just have a
Mr. Floyd,
problem.
I think I recall you saying to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes I do get it wrong, but I think I recall you saying to me that a high level official at the city of Fayetteville indicated to you that this project, the project at Catalyst Site 1 that has now been sort of pushed to the forefront in order to try and make the choice neighborhood application a little sweeter, was actually brought to the city of Fayetteville by the attorney for the housing authority. Did I hear you say that correctly?
Well, that's what Rumorville mentioned, not
Okay.
that, but that's Rumorville,
Okay,
you
and
know.
just for the
But
purposes of our audience, I do recall that if I'm not mistaken, the attorney for the housing authority is this one and the
well,
same attorney for the bond counsel for the city of Fayetteville and the attorney for the um something for PwC, I think bond counsel
well,
for PwC.
yes, but you got to look at the
And
fact.
is also the same attorney who was recently censured for violation of their own um, standards that govern their field of
Well,
work, which is law, if I'm not mistaken, by the North Carolina Bar Association.
the reason why I say Rumorville because you get so much communication out in the community, and I looked at that is how can that person uh, bring a matter to a city department to advance it. That's all I'm saying, Keisha. That's why I'm
Well,
saying the Rumorville.
when you
No,
have a
I'm just saying
relationship with,
Rumorville. That I mean, I don't put a lot of stock, uh, you know, in that because it is
well, I
the
don't know why you
staff.
wouldn't, given the origin of the rumor, but I'll say this. Additionally, in addition to the origin of the rumor, Mr. Floyd, I would say with a very high percentage rate, probably over 90% accuracy when we've presented information is panned out to be accurate. But
Well,
Mr. Floyd,
I,
nonetheless, go ahead.
well, that goes back, if I may, to our zoning request, which is going before the city council, which started in July of 25. And our community is opposed to the zoning of property at 2211 Rosehill Road. But after our fighting, and then I think it was either the October, November meeting, that we were to appear before the council to 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 voice our opposition. We noticed that a particular attorney was in place, and then I began to realize, okay, I see what is going on now. So some members of the community said, okay, we can make our presentation before the council in opposition. But I do,
Okay.
but the developer hired the attorney to represent them. And so when some members saw that, they, looked at it. We'll make our appeal, but we know basically what the outcome is going is going to be at the end of the day, because the developer would not, which I don't blame the developer, would not have bought this person on if that person was not successful in his ability to deliver success towards, if you understand what I mean. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the developer is right to do that. I mean, he's looking at his or her, investment. And so
Mm-hmm.
we as a community also is looking at our neighborhood and how we like to see our neighborhood remain a neighborhood. We already have full public housing in our neighborhood. So now you're going
Okay.
to add another housing. But we understand, but we are going to make our appeal before the council on February the 22nd. But many feel is that they already know the outcome, but we must express our feeling to the council. And the other thing, Teach, if somebody want to ride to the poll February the 12th and 13th, if they are called 910-502-3443, and they can get a ride to the poll from 8 to 3:30. Just call that number and they can coordinate whatever it is that they want to do as it relates to their travel to the poll. But
And
this is
I'll
an
be happy to.
option.
I'm gonna post that
Right.
on our page as well. And when you get in the van, don't feel like you have to be pressured into voting for whoever the driver is telling you should be voting for.
Yes.
Because it's a ride. It's not. It's while these rides typically do function to support certain candidates, you can take the ride regardless of whether or not you intend on voting for the candidates that they're in support of.
And
Mr. Floyd,
and my
go
last, I
ahead.
have one more thing. We was under the impression that the school board was going to look at the consideration of closure and renovation on February the 26th. It's some members feel that that action was rushed to judgment a couple of days ago.
Well,
So
that's on
the
our list
public,
of things to talk about. So we're going to actually kind of get knee deep
okay,
into that. But before we do, Mr. Floyd, I do want to make mention of something that I found to be quite interesting as you're talking about Rumorville. So I want to give a little backdrop on why this is interesting to me. There was a Facebook post made, and I'm going to actually share the Facebook post as soon as I can figure out how to from my handy dandy computer. There was and for the purposes of our audience, today is going to be a pretty interesting podcast, so just hang in there with us. So there was a post shared by Darden Jenkins. Darden has been on our podcast before. Okay, on this post that Darden Jenkins made, let me get it. I want it to be upright. Hold on. I want y'all to really be able to. I'm having a hard time with my tech. There we go. Darden has been on our podcast before, and he's talked about some things, and I found him to be very interesting when he shares his perspective. Here's what we're seeing on his Facebook post. The information that he shared indicates that Lauren Beimer, who was the city's communication director, is no longer employed by the city. Additionally, he went on to say that Adam Lindsay, who is the assistant city manager, has left the building to take the assistant county attorney job in Catawba County, reportedly with a dramatic pay increase. Kelly
Did he
Strickland,
say a increase or decrease?
decrease.
Okay.
Kelly Strickland, the assistant city manager, is leaving for a job in the Charlotte area. She's been there for ages. Okay. She has been at the city of Fayetteville for ages. Adam and Kelly are, well, I'm not going to read his commentary, but I'm going to leave this up for a moment because I want to talk about this. So it had come to my attention, and I'm going to say allegedly, and I'm going to use Jane Doe and John Doe. Okay. John Doe, a city council member, shared with me that at some point there was a public records request made. You all probably remember the conversation that transpired with the erroneous press release about changing Dino Hondros's vote for mayor pro tem, right?
I heard about that.
We all heard about it. We talked about it on this podcast. No need to be coy, Mr. Floyd. So Dino, when that transpired, all fingers pointed back to Lauren Beimer. Lauren Beimer, at that time, caught a lot of heat for this and issued a statement basically saying, I did this of my own accord. So, sometime after that, John Doe says to me, we received a public records request. And the public records request came from a reporter at City View Today, Jane Doe. And Jane Doe was asking for all of the correspondence between council members and herself. I want you to process that, Mr. Floyd. The reporter, Jane Doe, is asking for copies of conversations, text messages between council members and herself about the incident that transpired at the swearing in ceremony. This struck council member John Doe as odd because council member John Doe thought to himself, why would Jane Doe need us to send her messages that we've already sent her? So John Doe, it raises some red flags for them. The process plays out, and apparently some council members ask the city manager if this is odd to him, because the way that it works, Mr. Floyd, for the sake of our audience, the way that it works is the city clerk will send out a notice that these records are being requested. So anything that you have that fits this description, please send it to us so that we can fulfill this public records request. Jennifer Eyre is the city clerk. So Jennifer Eyre sends out this message. Jane Doe wants all messages between you guys and Jane Doe. John Doe finds it weird. Apparently, other people on council find it weird too, because somebody goes to the city manager and says, does this make sense to you? Shortly after that conversation, remember, all of this is just being conveyed to me. I'm just telling you what was told to me. Shortly after this conversation, they get another message saying that the public records request has been withdrawn. However, in the meantime, somebody allegedly reaches out to Jane Doe, the reporter, and says, hey, we got this weird public records request from you. Can you explain what it is you're trying to do? Here's where it gets interesting, Mr. Floyd. The reporter says, I never made a public records request. So the supposed public records request that had been made to the city council was phony. So the question then became, well, who made the phony public records request? Well, it became a moot point because it was instantly pulled back. And so it was like, no harm, no foul. No harm, no foul. But Mr. Floyd, John Doe speculates, the council member John Doe speculates that one of the members in this picture potentially wanted to know what was being said because they may have felt like they were being set up to take the fall for something. You tracking what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm being clear because if you understand, then the people should understand too. So I find it interesting now that Lauren Beimer is reportedly no longer with this employed by the city of Fayetteville. Because up to this point, there was no conversation, no additional conversation outwardly about any of this. So I would be interested to find out who at the city of Fayetteville was trying to find this information about what council members were saying to this reporter. What was their investment in finding out what council members were saying to this reporter? And at some point, did it become an issue that became big enough to cause an employee to be separated from the city of Fayetteville because people have kept their jobs for far less than just something as small as, oh, I put out a press release with ill timed and without correct information. People have kept their jobs at the city of Fayetteville for far worse. So I just wonder why Lauren Beimer is no longer employed with the city of Fayetteville. I also find it interesting, Mr. Floyd, that Adam Lindsay would transition from the city of Fayetteville as an assistant manager, city manager, to Catawba County as an assistant county manager, taking a pay cut. So it's kind of like a lateral move because you're still assisting and you take a pay cut. I think that's interesting. I would love to understand more about Mr. Lindsay's motivation behind that. And then for Miss Strickland to be leaving after so long to go to the Charlotte area, it's all just very interesting the level of turnover. And this is just some of the turnover, Mr. Floyd, because we have seen a big turnover in city managers, employees over the last. I mean, the first one that was like for all of us was when the city attorney just just like that just left her home and her job where she was set to retire soon and went and took another job in Raleigh. So there's something to this.
Well, Keith, let me say this: it is that we have a unique community. That's how I express our community a lot.
I would say keep your eyes
Very,
open. I would say that this is an indication that we should all pay attention. We should continue to see which positions at the city of Fayetteville turn over, and we should just really be attentive and be
well,
this should serve as a turned on light for everybody to say, hey, watch what's going on. Because one of
well,
the things that, and I don't necessarily correlate the two things together, but one of the things that Mr. Jenkins did say is that he believes that it has something to do with this pending audit. I don't know that I necessarily make one and one equal two in that way, but I do say that there is something unique about all of what's going on. And I think given what I just shared, certainly it raises some questions.
that I think that there are, that if the state ought to look at the Muhammad and they look at this, it's very interesting because the city hired a consultant and the consultant on one project that ought, is that that uh, consultant indicated to the city that just tear it down because it doesn't meet, you know, code standards
And
for the
nobody
city.
has been fired for millions of dollars worth of losses and for clearly not doing their job by not reviewing the bonds that were presented by Muhammad. Nobody's been fired for
Yeah.
that, but we see this separation, this parting of ways between Lauren Byron and the city of Fayetteville. And I just wonder why. I just wonder why
Uh,
at this time.
y- you know, you know, that's what, concerns me. When I look at the council and I look at the council and I mentioned to you, to me, is that when a person wants to change a policy, or I'm saying a person, that person off to state his or her reason why they want to change this policy. What we see is that it comes on the council agenda, and the public don't know which council member, I hope it was a council member, requested the change, because it should come through a council member into the council for the council to act upon, that request. But when the public don't know, you don't know who is making these various changes that affect the operation of the city, and
Well,
also
it
the community relationship as it relates to the council. As an example, and we can move on from that, the policy about public speaking.
Well,
I
I
mean,
want us to talk specifically about that
where
because
did it
Mr.
come
Floyd
from?
recently the Fayetteville City Council voted 8-2 to move its public comment period to a new standalone meeting format following resident criticism and internal disagreement over how the changes could affect public access. Now, this is what's changed. So the public forum moves from the second Monday regular meeting to a standalone meeting on the first Monday. The start time is 6:15 p.m. after the work session. The speaking window doubled from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Address address no longer required at the podium. Sign up deadline remains 5 p.m. the day of the meeting. Rebuttals are expanded. The mayor may now respond, previously limited to the city manager and the city attorney. Public forums removed from regular council meetings. Streaming now is audio only, similar to work sessions. So, what this does is it moves it from a public outward facing meeting to a public not outward facing meeting, because this is just audio only, not audio visual. It also reduces the eyes on these conversations because most people are not watching the work sessions. It will either do that or it will backfire on this council in a way that they did not expect by putting more eyes on the work sessions. Now, critics say that this narrows participation. As an example, Councilmember Sean McMillan and several residents argued that the proposal restricts civic engagement rather than expanding it, which, Mr. Floyd, I don't know why this community would be surprised by that, because this is a council that thrives off of restricting civic engagement. If you remember, the mayor pro tem, when he was just a council member, said that they could change the terms without citizen engagement because they could, and that was the only reason that he gave.
Well,
Moving
you
the
got to look
forum
at.
out.
He was right. I mean, I got to give it to the person. He was right in saying that, but something that you say is political suicide.
Well, not for him,
Okay.
because he was rewarded because he's the mayor pro tem now. Moving the forum outside regular meetings reduces the audience for speakers. Earlier sign up changes would disadvantage working residents. Proposal was first placed on the consent agenda without broader public discussion. Allegations of inconsistent enforcement of decorum rules took place during this meeting, which is not new for this mayor. The First Amendment concerns about limiting protected speech were raised. Mr. McMillan's motion to table the policy failed, even though apparently there had been an agreement upstairs during the dinner meeting for them to do so, with only him and Stefan Ferguson voting in support. I will tell you, I'm very disappointed in my council member for supporting this. This to me is a big deal, and I would have expected for a council member that ran on the notion of um, really being able to bring hope back to the citizens to have supported tabling this and to really have pushed for the changes to have been a little differently aligned. Like, instead of add some add in some protective barriers, make the first Monday meeting audio visual like the rest of the meetings. Give it the same structure, move it into chambers, make it like a regular meeting. So instead of it just being a work session, make it another meeting. If you want to have something that is dedicated specifically to public speaking, do not make it, or make it where instead of meeting 3 times a month, you meet 4 times a month. And one of the meetings is solely public comment. And it gives people, instead of taking away liberties, it gives them additional liberties. Mitch Colvin rejected claims that the policy limits constitutional rights, stating that changes are lawful and made in good faith. And remember, I said some time ago that I believe that this not just this group of politicians, but politicians in general know how to skirt the law so that they don't break the law, so that they can say it's within the limits of the law, but they understand that it is still questionable in terms of its execution. He emphasized that council members hear from constituents beyond formal public forums. The council was elected to exercise judgment on behalf of residents. That is not what they were elected for. We did not elect you to exercise judgment on behalf of us. We elected you to listen to the collective and execute judgment based upon the majority of the collective, not on your judgment, because most of us don't trust your judgment, sir. Debate should remain policy, and there are reasons for that, because not just publicly, but privately, why we don't trust your judgment. Debate should remain focused on policy rather than accusatory. Um, no, the accusation stands. The accusation is that you are limiting the public's reach, not only to their counsel, but so that the rest of the public can hear their concerns. City Attorney Lachelle Pullum confirmed that the policy complies with the law. Of course it does. It's within the scope of the law, but just because it's legal doesn't make it moral. Mr. Floyd, what are your thoughts about this? Because there's so
Well,
much I can say
well,
about
I
this.
just, you know, my concern goes back to I like to know the person, the council member that brought the policy forward. And that would give me an idea of how the council, view things and who actually have a greater influence on the council as
Typically,
it
you would
relates.
find that by looking for at the, and again, you don't know that because nobody
I don't
pays
know that.
attention.
I
Let me
mean,
tell you why, because nobody pays attention
uh,
to these first Monday meetings, which are the work sessions, because this stuff emanates out of a work session. The practice should be such,
I mean, I
according
understand.
to policy.
I understand that it's coming out of work session, but yet still, that person that brought that item for change should be the person that speaks at the council meeting that he or she brought forward this change for this reason. The work session is a work session, but the public wants to know at the end who bought it and why. Not that you discuss it in a work session and therefore it comes out of the work session just as a blank agenda item. You know, I'm concerned about when a change is made, is that the person that requested that change, it is made in a public setting so the public can see how that person view the citizen. That's my concern.
Well,
And
yeah, I
that's, I
get
mean,
it.
I mean, all the other, because, you know, someone
Mr.
can.
Floyd, can I say something without sound? It's gonna sound crass, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't
Mhm.
even care at this point anymore. I think this city council
Yeah.
should do whatever the hell they want to do. You know why? Because
Mm.
that's what they've been doing. Whatever the hell they want to do.
Well, well,
and we just keep, and it's not just them. Government in general keeps doing whatever the hell they want to do. Because even if you look nationally, with these Epstein files. There was supposed to be all this rollout and all this rollout. And they said, well, what if we don't want to? And nobody gave any repercussion because you can do whatever you want to do. When you make the laws, when you write the policies, you can do whatever you want to do. So
well,
this is the lesson for our audience. They can do whatever they want to do. And
and they
because
do
you
that,
keep
T.
sending people, because
Yeah.
y'all keep sending people into these seats who understand that they can do whatever they want to do and they can do it with no regard to how you feel about it. This is what you get.
Well,
That's why transparency and ethics matters, and the definition of ethics, you should make them define what are your ethics, because you need
well,
to understand what their composition is, because they can do what the hell they want to do, and
well,
that's what
T.
they're doing.
T. The thing of it is, T. In our community, and I say this to you, and I say it to everyone else. Our community don't want skill and experience.
It's
They
not
want
just our
people
community, Mr.
who they
Floyd.
like. But I mean, I understand the broader perspective, but we vote and we support on who we like. I mean, you know, uh, and it's also is who the other person tell us who they want. That's how we operate. Now, if we look at this, let's just look at the county board of commissioners. The county board of commissioners is going to have a meeting on I think it's March the 12th. It looked good to the public. It looked good to the public as they gonna meet with the Cumberland County delegation to get $98.5 million from the North Carolina General Assembly. $98.5 million. Now, I sent you the just for our public to see if you can post that the makeup of the Senate there. We can see
Yeah,
who
it's on our
are
page. It's on our,
okay.
if you guys want to see who's on what
Okay.
committees and what the leadership looks like for the Senate and the House, is on our page. Go back to a prior post on the
Okay.
Upzones Facebook page, and it's all right there. You can follow along as we have this conversation. Go ahead, Mr. Floyd.
Okay. Now, when you look at this, they are going to meet with the members of the Cumberland County General Assembly to ask for again 98.5 million. But when you look at the makeup of the leadership of the both House and Senate, we are not there, especially the Democrats and the minority. The only person that has some ranking is Senator McMillan, Senator Ennis, over in Southern Pine. Okay. Now, to meet with them on March the 12th is to dream the impossible dream because the General Assembly is going to meet on April the 12th. They're going to
Mr.
reconvene.
Floyd and Tom, and let's say this: Tom McInnes doesn't have any loyalty to this community because overwhelmingly, when it's time to vote, y'all don't vote for him. So because y'all don't keep him in office, he has no constitution, no motivation
No
to
more.
do anything for this area because y'all don't keep him in office. You can't get him out and you don't keep him in. So there's no, the one person in our delegation at that level, at the Senate level, who has the capacity to be able to shift the tide, ain't thinking about us because we are not a factor for him in terms of his election. So,
Well, that's true. So that's my point with this meeting of a meeting of the Cumberland County delegate. Right now, the budget is in a conferee committee to hammer out the differences between the House and the Senate. So it's already there. So when it comes out, it's a up and down vote. You
and Kirk
cannot
Deviere is
change
familiar with this because he was a senator. He was a state
it.
senator. He's familiar with this process. He knows how it goes. So if anybody is being fooled, it's not him because he understands how this goes
And you,
from both perspectives.
and you're right. But so you're gonna request 98 when you look at the Western Carolina, then you look at state employee, you look at the supplemental program that's coming back, health care, all of these things, and you think that our delegation is strong enough to bring back $98.5 million. Actually, the meeting should occurred in November after the election, before the next general assembly start, so that they can be prepared to introduce the bills that that will help possibly bring back some money, which I don't really see is happening because if one of our members vote to bring back money to Cumberland County, and anyone knows again, Keith, is Senator DeVille because he brought $4 billion back. And the governor came here to this county and told us that he wanted Val Applewhite because she can help him get what he wants in Raleigh. So the meeting on March the 12th is just a waste of the delegation time and also bring the county board of commission into a unnecessary meeting just for a dog and pony show.
So, as to play devil's advocate, is it possible that this meeting is about trying to lay the groundwork for the next session?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't. I mean, because as it stands now, I don't see our county. I don't see Charles Smith present now, or if Francis Jackson returned, Michael Coleman is uncontested. I don't see them risking their political career
To vote with the Republicans to get anything, which
to
means you're
bring
not
back.
going to, yeah.
I do not see it. And then again, the same thing that bothers me again is that our community, just like with the Board of Education, just like with the City Council, our hope relies in grants. They said that they want to get $15 million from this $98.5 million to build E.E. Smith or renovate E.E. Smith. Okay. Now it's the same thing about the Mercer Road Choice Plan. If we get the grant, we will be able to revitalize Murchison Road. But when they're even in the minority, they know how to manipulate the system in order to benefit them
Listen, let me
and to
tell you
create
something.
generator wealth.
Mr. Floyd,
They
I
know how
got
to do
a I got tagged in the post last week, and I think I'm at the point in my journey, and I've heard people say when you hit a certain age, you just don't care anymore.
it.
I think I might have hit that age because I got tagged in something the other day where somebody was asking me to sign a petition about the shift of the schools, closure of year-round schools. Now, let me tell you something, Mr. Floyd. In 2013, my children attended W.T. Brown Elementary School. In 2013, I had just gotten married. I had been married for a year, so I was just coming off of being a broke single mother. They were changing at that time. They had already made the decision without having any parent input, without having any meetings, anything, that they were going to change the calendar from year round to
Calendar.
traditional calendar. So, Mr. Floyd, I immediately went into action because I said there has to be some policy against this because at that time, the number of year round schools was very limited, still is. And we specifically chose those schools for valid reasons. They did a better job keeping our children engaged. They gave parents more flexibility in terms of scheduling. It was just all around a better fit for the parents that chose those schools. So I organized. We and you can go back and Google, just look up Tisha S. Waddell for just look up Tisha Waddell, W.T. Brown, and then type in Matt DeNoble too, because all of that will bring you right to the article from 2013. I did all the things. And guess what happened? We marched, we went to the school board, we did all the things, we organized, and guess what happened? They changed the calendar, they redistricted some of those schools over there, and then the school became a ghost town. It became a ghost town. It's
Well,
one of the emptiest schools. Now here's the thing, Mr. Floyd. I say all that to say I don't care anymore. That was the catalyst for me as a parent that said they're going to do whatever the hell they want to do. And so I
okay.
did what the hell I wanted to do, which was to pull my kids out of Cumberland County schools. And I exercised my right to homeschool because I'm not about to keep fighting this system to do what I think they should do because I think it's what's best for me and mine when I can just do what I think is best for me and mine. So
Well,
y'all can
see,
have at it. Y'all can have at it. Y'all can petition, y'all can sign this and do that and march here and holler there. You could do all the things. As for me and my house, we're gonna serve the Lord and I'm gonna take care of my family. Y'all gonna have to figure out a different way because they're showing us consistently at the local level, at the county level, at the state level, at the national level, at the federal level, at the international level. They are showing us, like Michael Jackson said, they don't really care about us.
uh,
All I really want to say is that they don't really care about us. So if you want to keep playing that, not you, Mr. Floyd, but if y'all want to keep playing the game that we can make a difference, knock yourself out. But I'm gonna tell you
but
this: I'm just gonna give you the game. Play how you want to play.
but T, just like what you just said there, the public, was anticipating a meeting on March the 26th as it relates to the school consolidation
Yes,
referendum.
they were. But
You
the
know,
board voted on Monday to advance closure processes for 3 schools and to move forward on the multiple consolidation construction projects. They have already
yeah.
made their decision. Several
Okay.
votes passed by narrow margins, underscoring deep division among board members over timing, transparency, and long term impact. The board voted to begin statutory closure process for Mancheller Elementary School and Chestnut Middle School, Reed Ross Classical School. And Chestnut and Reed Ross are the I think they might be two of the only remaining year-round schools.
And they are what? And now those schools at one point in time was minority schools.
They still are.
Okay.
Now here's the
Okay.
caveat.
But you close. But you close.
Under North Carolina law, these are not final closures. The district must still conduct public hearings, provide public notice. Listen, y'all, we just got finished talking about public hearings. They don't really care about us. Conduct public hearings, provide public notice, consider reassignment, transportation, and community impact. Return for an additional vote before the final closure decision. District leaders say community forums and feedback sessions are forthcoming. Please go, speak, sign up, petition, march, do all the things. Let's see what happens.
See, see, you know, let's look at that. What you just mentioned there about here. Now, when Beaver Dam School spoke, Beaver Dam, which has a old
they didn't
school,
they didn't even them and Massey Hill, they didn't even have to come out and do all the flipping through
mm-mm,
hoops. All they had to do was say something to the newspaper, and they're not even in consideration anymore. All
yeah,
I really want to say, they don't really care about us.
I mean, when you look at it, those are two old schools, okay. And when you look at Reed Ross, which is newly built, you're gonna close that school, okay.
And everybody
But
don't
you're
want to
gonna
send their
wait.
kid to E.E. Smith.
Yeah.
Everybody does not want to send their kid to E.E. Smith. Just because that is your public institution that you love and value and esteem so highly, other people, everybody doesn't want to send their kid to that institution. And so they've selected Reed Ross as an alternative because it's still within the area. I know this because I'm friends with some of these parents. They're concerned about the quality of academics at E.E. Smith. They're concerned about because these schools still get report cards. They're concerned about disciplinary actions at some of these schools. They're concerned about the calendar and the scheduling and being able to do all the things. They're concerned about the dilapidation of the building. They're concerned about all of these things. And so Reed Ross stood as an alternative because they are a school of choice. And so you could choose to send your child somewhere optional. It's not a district school. Reed Ross is a school, excuse me, of choice.
See, just like what you mentioned,
I'm so amped
it is
about this
good. No,
because
no, no. No, when I look at the Board of Education and I pulled up and I did not know that we had 6 minorities on the Board of Education out of 9 members.
yeah, but it
6.
doesn't even matter, Mr. Floyd, because at this point it's not a black white thing. It's that they're gonna do whatever they want to do.
But I'm saying, T, that if that's good. But if it's scheduled to be considered on the 26th, look at these constituents that sent you there. Honor that request. If you're gonna do the same thing that you did, and think about this now, why would you have a committee meeting and then go right out of the committee meeting into the regular meeting with the
Well,
staff
listen, let me say
recommendation?
this. Let me
What a
say this,
waste.
Mr.
Why
Floyd.
not just bring it? Why not just bring it out?
But
Why
let me
not?
say the problem with the way that we govern as black folk. We are emotional and we respond. Some of our people respond to the swell and the uproar, but not to the statement of facts. And so here's the reality: what Greg West said does bear some truth. This has been a conversation that's been ongoing for so long. He countered when Mary Hale said we don't have enough information to make critical decisions that would be affecting so many people. Greg West countered that the facility discussions have dragged on for more than a decade, particularly regarding E.E. Smith. That is not a lie. And further
What could
delays
I
could
don't
stall
disagree with you,
long
T.
overdue upgrades.
I
There's
don't disagree with you there.
right.
But under Glenn Adams, when he was the chairman of the County Board of Commission, off and on every other year, E. Smith could have been built 10 years ago,
Mr.
or
Floyd,
whatever they was going to
the
do.
politicians are not the problem. It's the people electing them. We're the
Well, that's true.
problem.
That's true.
We're the
I mean,
problem because we keep sending people back that just fluctuate with the wind.
well,
And you're right. You're right. It could have been done, but there's no real mechanism for being able to manage
well, T.
community input with political output.
But
There's no real mechanism for that.
when Glenn Adams was chairman, when Glenn Adams was chairman of the County Board of Commission, the disturbing thing to any person that listened to a comment that he made, he did not see Smith at that time as a priority. He did not see it as a priority. Which,
Yeah,
if
but
you look at the mayor,
I can't just pin this on Commissioner Adams.
no,
Commissioner
I'm not
Adams is
pinning
there
on
because
him, but
yeah.
he has a. It's just like with the mayor. The mayor used his influence over the council. Okay, Glenn could have used his influence on the county board of commission to move Smith forward. So now we're talking about $160 million, and you think the state is going to give $15 million? It is the responsibility of the county to build schools, and how they fund them is up, Brad. But when you look at it, if the county is looking at to build an aquarium, if they're looking at building remodeling the crown, a $1.4 billion water system, you know, so you got to look at it. How our local government is going to look at all of these funding based upon our population and a decrease in our population. Okay, so I'm just simply saying to you, you know, our community is, you know, we just don't stop and look. We just follow status quo. I mean, and I'm back to this meeting on March the 12th. Why have this meeting? It's it's a complete waste of time, but it's good for the campus. It is good for the campus. So, Tish, I know what you said, but somebody got to be crying out in the wilderness. Okay, make ye the
Or we
road
just have
ready.
to let me tell you something. Okay, Mr. Floyd.
Okay, we got somebody got to keep. I mean, to cry out in the wilderness, because when we really look at it, and I looked at it, I looked at Michael Coleman's assignments in the General Assembly. You know, he's on 3 committees, and they meet at the pleasure of the chairs. So, but we boast about this, you know. But where is the, I call it Amazon? Where is the Amazon for our community? I can recall what one thing that really awakened me, T, is not what happened to me in the election, but when I saw so many politicians that I had respect for, and they always talk about experience. When I saw something in the last election, that's like what you just said earlier today, it was an awakening for me. Okay. It was a true awakening for me, is that they went on name recognition. Okay. These are experienced people, but they'll constantly say to you, Madam Waddell, if you don't vote for John Doe, then you giving the other person a vote. Well, Madam Waddell,
Or when they say people died for you to have the right to vote, and they try to
yeah,
manipulate you into thinking that
yeah,
means that you have to go and exercise that right. People died for you to have the right to or not to vote. They died for you to have the right to decide for yourself what you want to
yeah.
participate in and what you don't.
But
And
T,
you
I
cannot
explained
use
to
my
this.
blackness against me anymore to make me feel like I have to be beholden to these systems, where
Yeah,
these systems were never intended to serve to function the needs of the people that they're built on the backs of. Take your kids out of these schools. Take your kids out of these schools because the people who are running them are not giving proper consideration to the
We don't
needs
come on,
of
T.
their customer.
Teach, we
Take your
only
kids
have
out of these
of
schools.
84 schools, we only have 27 that are failing.
Take
And
your
with the
kids out of these
closing of the
schools.
schools, we will move it down to 84 schools to 76 or 79 schools.
Take your kids out of
So,
these schools.
so, so
Take your
we're
kids out of
making
these schools and take your attention and your time off of these. Look, politicians are like celebrities. They're only popping if you pay them attention.
what
Let me
teach?
say it again. Let me say this one more time. Politicians are like celebrities. They only matter and they're only popping if you give them attention. Stop paying them attention. Fix your own stuff.
What
Figure it out
what
for
teach?
yourself.
Again, teach. I look at them as being car sales. They can sell you a car today,
And
and
you
you
don't
pay
even have
60.
nowhere to drive to. You really don't even have anywhere to drive to because after they sell you the car, then they tell you you got to stay in the house, but you're still paying for the car, you're still paying the taxes, and then they tell you, and every week we're going to come siphon the gas out of your car, but you got to fill it up again, but you're not allowed to go anywhere. That is exactly what this political process is. I'm going to sell you a car. I'm going to confine you to home. I'm going to make you pay for the car. I'm going to come take the gas that you put in it out and tell you buy more gas and keep paying us to look at the car in your yard.
Well, teach. I can recall one of the guys that told me that he was a truck driver, and and one thing he said, Floyd, it looked good, but unless the wheels are moving, it's not worth a dime to me.
Mr. Floyd, what you want to leave our people with?
Okay, if the wheels are not moving, it's not worth a dime to me.
Huh.
So, what I just want our community, this is at an important time, is an election time. We
No,
have
it's not.
people.
No, it's not.
It
No, it's
is.
not. Don't tell these people that lie. This is not an important time.
Well, it's a time for them to cast a vote for the person of their choice, you know.
We're always in
And
an
that,
election cycle. We're constantly in the stress. We are stressed out now. We have PTSD from constant election cycles. We are tired of having to
but
figure
it's the
out who's
process,
going to
T.
lie to us next.
T. I mean, I just get the joy of feeling important when I go to the poll and everybody wants to give me their material for me to select them. Okay. I mean, so I love it. I mean, I love it's sort of like the board. What y'all call it when you have a fashion show?
The
What's that?
catwalk,
The catwalk.
the runway.
You walk up,
Yeah.
yeah. You walk up there, and they run up to you with their cards and everything, And I look at them, and many of them don't even know who they are talking to.
Don't have a
Okay,
clue because somebody was standing out there and thought Mike Colvin was Mitch Colvin one day. Not Mike Colvin, thought that Mitch is, but I was standing out there, saw it happen, Mr. Floyd, thought that Mitch's poll worker was Mitch. And do you
yeah.
think the poll worker corrected him?
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. So what I
Y'all
want to
don't even
leave
know
them
who
with
y'all
too.
fangirling for.
I mean, I just like for, for the person to just think about the process. And what we do here is that we got to be crying out in the wilderness for the road. And we're trying to make it better so that you can see that this decision making process that is made by the council, the county board of commission, and the board of education, teach we are the minorities. And we run these boards. I mean, I'm sorry. My thought is we sit on these boards and numbers. And I think that
Well, what you want to leave our people with?
we sit on these boards with numbers. Okay. And I leave it at that. And the result is still the same. If it was a all white board, it doesn't matter. The results
Because
are
it's not
still
even about
bad.
color. It's not even about color.
It,
I'm gonna.
it's that
I'll
we
reserve
are
my
there.
thoughts. Go ahead.
We are there carrying out other people's agenda. That's all that we are doing. We just carrying out other people's agenda in greater numbers. That's all.
Okay, and
So
I'm gonna say, and I want to say, and I want to be very clear when I say this. This is Satan's system. It always has been from its inception until its very time right now. And we should never expect righteousness out of Satan's system. This system is working exactly as it was designed to work from the beginning. Occasionally, you will get somebody like a Tisha S. Waddell or like a Elmer Floyd in office who will fight for the people. But guess what happens when you get those types of people? People who lead from righteousness perspective. They don't last long because the system is not made for us. And as soon as we do anything that causes the system to feel like we are a threat to its existence, we are removed and replaced. And so here's the reality: if you want your family to be taken care of, you better take care of them. Period. Period. You gonna pay taxes because you live in America and that's what this system is founded on. It just is what it is. Until we all get together and decide collectively we're not doing this anymore, it is what it is. So until the uprising, like, share, subscribe, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend. Mr. Floyd, like I always say, no righteousness apart from justice, no justice apart from Jesus. If you are righteousness, you better seek Jesus. Mr. Floyd, you are the bomb co host. I hope I'm all right with you as a co host. You are growing this podcast by leaps and bounds. When you're out in the streets, people are telling you how much they're enjoying what you're doing. And I just want to give you your flowers right now and tell you I could not do this without you. Thank you, sir.
God bless your teeth and
And
be that little valley, okay, and that voice
there,
crying out in the wilderness,
there we
okay.
go. Y'all have a great day and catch us next week.